What's happening? Welcome to Viral Dope Podcast, powered by 99.7 The Heat Miami and Twitch. Shout out to the Radio Pushers family. I got one of my favorite Radio Pushers relative up in the building today. He goes by the name of QMOSHYN. So he's in the building.
Yeah.
All right, all right. And I'm excited that he's here because I think he's accomplished a lot of things, and we want to highlight that kind of stuff today. So he's kind of a humble guy. So we're gonna make him floss today. We're gonna make him, be different. We're gonna make him be boastful today. Talk about his achievements and all that good stuff. So I remember a few months ago, I had a class on, just mental health and stuff like that, and we were chopping it up about it. But I just want to know, first question, how's your mental health today? How's your mental health, and how important is your mental health to you?
Man, like today is, kind of a bittersweet type situation for me because coming off of Father's Day, I did
Mm.
lose my father a couple years ago.
Okay.
And it's one of those bittersweet moments where, in the midst of seeing my kids become really successful, like my oldest son is, getting a lot of Division 1, offers for him to play football. My younger son
Good.
is going into high school. He just graduated 8th grade. And my daughter is, 4, and she's just growing like a beanstalk and getting into music just like he did. You know what I mean? So it's like sad that he's not here to see that. But at the same time, I know that he instilled so much in me that I was able to pass on to them. And they're like, working the plan beautifully, and it's amazing to see those things come to fruition. So as far as like how my mental health is going, it's just like, man, it is I have to constantly remind myself of the gratefulness and the graciousness that I should always display every day. And as long as I, stay positive about those things, it makes it a lot easier to handle the different challenges that life throws our way.
Okay.
And so,
Okay.
and mental health is extremely important.
Yeah.
This year's been very challenging. Like I lost my cousin who battled mental health
Mm-hmm.
issues for years,
Right.
and unfortunately, he succumbed to that battle in February. And
Mm.
I've had some other personal challenges, in the midst of like dealing with relationships and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. And it's like, you end up second guessing yourself a lot. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, are you going to wallow in that sadness and that depression, or do you think about, okay, how do you harness all of those challenges to make yourself better and
Uh-huh.
and take care of the people that are really depending on you? And that's
Right.
kind of, you channel that negative energy into something positive, and keep yourself around other, uh holistically, keep yourself around people that are on that same trajectory, that have been either where you want to go or going where you want to go. And that's how I've been keeping myself
Okay.
mentally healthy.
All right. All right. So you
Word.
got a plan, but and you're just going through what all everyone is going through. Not to minimize what you're going through, but everyone's going through those challenges, and I
Word.
think that's just to build us up and make us more mature to get to the next level. You
That's a
know.
great word.
Yeah.
Maturing, for sure.
Yeah.
I had to do a lot of that in a short amount of time this year.
Mm, mm.
Word.
Same here. Same here.
Hmm.
So, what are some of your goals? Like, what are some of your dreams that you want to accomplish? And what would make you happy, or even what would make your dad happy for you?
So I'll put it to you like this, right? One of the things that he wasn't, he wasn't really able to kind of bring to pass, just because of some of the people that he dealt with in the music business when he was going for it back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of got discouraged,
Mm-hmm.
was, like really vetting his associations.
Okay.
And he had some people jerk him out of his publishing, and he was making his moves because he was dealing with the sound of Philadelphia, and he had a manager that didn't really do him right. So it's one of those things where I've experienced that to a certain degree of people not doing what they say they're going to do, or being who they project themselves to be.
Mhm.
And it's really about finding the people that are really legit, really vetting those things. And as far as some of the things I want to accomplish with that is, once I've gotten around the right people that can get you on a trajectory for success, like with radio pushers, music hype beast, 9970 Heat Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you're in that circle of people that have been there and done that, it just makes like the path so much easier. And I see, so many great things on the horizon, as far as, getting publicized on, major outlets, getting on IMDb, getting on Billboard, getting
Okay.
on LA Weekly. Like, those things are so much more tangible now than they
Uh-huh.
were 3, 4, 5 years ago, where everybody was all like in the same boat trying to figure it out with like really
Right.
no direction. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like,
Right.
okay, now we got a direction. Okay, now we got a plan. If people are really ready to rock and roll, you're going to stay on the boat. If you're not really ready to rock and roll, you just fronting like you were ready to rock and roll, or you were hoping I was ready to rock and roll, you're just going to get on a boat on my blood, sweat, and tears, but you're not really about that life or about that grind, then step off. Roll with me, roll
Okay.
out, or get rolled over. You know what I'm saying?
So
That's where I'm at with it.
right. So you mentioned that your dad was in the music business. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
how did your childhood, you know, especially, with your dad being in the industry, music industry, how did your childhood affect the type of man you are today, the type of musician you are today?
Yeah, so my dad and my mom both,
Mhm.
saying they actually met, preparing for a music contest when they were in college. And
Oh,
he approached her, and he just assumed that she could sing. He's like, "You look like you can sing." She's like, "Yeah, I can." So,
okay.
and my dad's a pianist, self-taught pianist.
Ah, oh,
And my mom and one of her homegirls and my dad, they sang, some show tunes from back in the 70s, and they made it happen. They won a contest, and the rest, as they say, is history, right?
mhm.
But they sang together in college. They sang in church choirs together. They both were in drama and theater, so they were just around entertainment a lot. So for
Uh-huh.
me to just kind of to just always be around like the notion of people rehearsing, practicing, till they
Mm,
got things perfect, or at least close to perfect, and not being willing to, accept a poor presentation. Like, those were things that really stuck with me in terms of how I go about my preparation for,
right.
being on stage. And
Nice.
even getting into the studio, I didn't get to see a whole lot of studio time,
Uh-huh.
growing up. That wasn't my cousin Devin Wade from the Devin Wade show was the one that kind of, really exposed me to being in a recording studio and getting to see that process. But
Okay.
um yeah, but I think that you know getting the idea of time equals money, so you want to go into the studio prepared, so you don't waste money in the
Oh,
studio
sure.
messing up all the
Mhm.
time, like
That's for sure,
that
that's
kind of
for sure.
stuff. And and
So
as technology
mhm.
evolved, making sure that you got all your files ready, so that's another evolution that I've had to again mature into, so like things could be more streamlined when you get in the studio.
Right. So what's your like creative process? Like when you go into the studio, you said you're prepared already, but how what's that feeling like, when you're going into the studio? Is it uh anxious feeling? Is it your euphoric feeling? Is it like you about to go box box
Man, listen,
somebody up?
you word up, it's all the above. I think it
Mhm.
really depends on the nature of the songs that I'm going to be recording in that session,
Uh-huh.
because I just kind of zone out emotionally and psychologically for that song.
Right.
I've had tracks where you're bearing out your soul on things that are going on in your life, and
Right.
you just get really sad or emotional. You've had the ones where, you really feeling yourself and you just talking that talk, like
Right.
can't
Right.
nobody mess with you, and you just,
Got
just
you.
talking heavy on cats. Like, look, I'm
Okay.
that dude, and y'all wish y'all could be that dude like me. Like, that's kind of like the swag I have, and I don't really necessarily walk around in that mode, but internally I'm like, yo, can't nobody tell me nothing. Like,
Mhm.
again, because I'm prepared. You feel
Okay.
me? So it's like, because I'm prepared, I know what I did. I know I'm putting this time out, put this grind in. Everybody's not doing this like me,
Right.
and that gives me the opportunity to really be that confident. It's the same way that, somebody like a Kobe or a LeBron or a Michael Jordan would, approach the basketball game. I approach
Right.
my musical preparation like that.
Okay. That's what's
Yeah.
up. So, as you know, the music industry is 90% business, 10% music. Okay. So,
Hmm.
like, what have you could explain to us the ups and downs that you've gone through? Like, what have you uh done? Because there's a lot of, we chopped it up before, and there's a lot of business ventures that you've been in, that has, you know, um had gotten you some good networking connects with the industry,
Sure.
and
Hmm.
and then so those are good things. So if you could elaborate a little bit on that, and then some of the downsides like situations that's happened that hasn't been that positive, if you could just elaborate on those.
For sure. Well, whether good or bad, right? Everything boils down to relationships.
Hmm.
And the thing about relationships, in the way I just approach life in general, I tend to lean more towards, if you put out the positive energy, you're going to get it back. And you have like an
Hmm.
abundance mentality. It's not to say that negative things don't happen, but you want to try to find the best ways to minimize that, right? So
Right.
for me, because I do my best to lean in with and lead with respect and lead with grace. That's gotten me a lot further. Mama
Mm.
mama would say stuff like, it's easier to catch bees with honey than with vinegar,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
So that helps me in a lot of ways, as far as, people being open and willing to open doors of opportunities for me. However, what comes with that is people take your kindness for weakness and think you soft, and they try you, or they lie to you, or they think
Hmm.
you're just going to accept any old thing. And then that's when you got to be bold enough to check people when stuff isn't the way people say it's going to be, and
Hmm.
you dismiss them, or you find a way to rectify that. You know what I'm saying? So people don't keep trying to step on your toes. um
Okay.
being assertive for new opportunities too, because you know that you worked hard and you deserve it, and not letting opportunities pass you by when they present yourself. So there's a fine line between being, nice, as opposed to, being, what's the word I should say, being professional and being cordial. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
And so, like, those are some of the things that I would say. And then I guess the other part, again, boiling down to relationships, finding the right group of people that have been where you're trying to go, and that can show you the road, so you don't sign bad contracts, so you don't give all your publishing away. And there's been opportunities where, yeah, maybe I could have gotten more songs on TV and radio, but then I'd have, zero publishing. Right?
Right. Right.
I could sell it on CDs or on USBs or on vinyls, but I wouldn't be able to sell the music online, because the publishing, I would have to get permission from the people that own the publishing. So,
Mm.
I mean,
Okay.
like, those are things that I bypass, because it's like, well, I'll take the stairs instead of the elevator. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And
Okay.
again, working with, a radio pushers gives me that opportunity to have an escalator between the stairs and the elevator. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It makes sense. So,
Mhm.
uh, being from Jersey and being from an area,
Yeah.
You know, what's that Jersey talk? Like,
You're like, yeah.
right. So being from Jersey, and I lived in Jersey for like a year. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I wasn't, I was mad every time I had to pay the tolls to go over that bridge, man. I was mad
I hear you.
because that
Taking that path train.
oh my God. And that bus over to the city, I was like, never again. I was out
Mm,
of there.
yeah. What you took, the Academy bus, or what you took,
I
the
don't know.
NJ Transit bus?
Yeah, one of those. Yep.
Oh, okay. Word.
So being from Jersey, Jersey has a great legacy as far as hip hop. A lot of
Absolutely.
great people have come from Jersey. One of my favorites is
Hmm.
Lauryn Hill. She probably
Oh,
won the most Grammys out of
right.
in one sitting in one year that anyone in
Yeah.
hip hop has won. So shout out to
Absolutely. Salute
her.
to her.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So being under the shadow of that, like how do you want to impact how do you feel like you impact your city? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, for me, I've always kind of taken it one person at a time, right? One
Mhm.
relationship at a time. In my case, one of the I don't even know if I want to call it this, but just for the lack of a better term, one of my gimmicks that I've been using for the last couple albums is called the Hood Superhero. And
Okay.
the gist of that is more so about being, a role model for my community.
Mhm.
And what that means is, growing up, you see a lot of the hood dudes that, kind of got in the street stuff, but don't, and they, glorify a lot of the street stuff, then don't necessarily highlight the downfalls, the pitfalls that come with that life.
Mhm.
You out pushing packs or whatever, but what happens when somebody robs you and you still are owed on that pack? What are you going to do about that? Like
Mhm.
different, scenarios. The wolves, the snakes, the rats, like all of that happens. What are the
Lions,
repercussions of
tigers,
dealing with
bears.
that? And so,
Mhm.
some of the stories that I, like to share in that saga of the Hood Superheroes, is there's 3 volumes of it, and it's like my goal is to show, that side of it. There is the high life, but there's also the low life that comes along
Mhm.
with that.
Mhm.
The highs and lows of relationships, the highs and lows of business. Like
Right.
those are a lot of the stories that we're talking about. And if you can just share a narrative that makes life a little easier, a little bit more livable for the next person, then your living is not in vain. And that's really how you can be a hero for one person. And if they pay it forward, then you've become a hero to your whole community.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. So, one of the last questions is, how would you define the word legacy? And now that you're a dad, has that has that definition changed at all from before to now?
So, I mean, the biggest thing when I think about legacy is that leg, where it's just
Mhm.
like an extension of the body, the
Okay.
part that helps you move forward. And I always kind of looked at it like, how am I going to again make things better for the next? So initially and this is, I guess, thinking about when I was about to have kids, I always was like,
Mhm.
well, I just want to make sure that my kids have better than I had, right?
Okay.
But
Mhm.
as they're here and just thinking about all the different problems that exist in the world, and just praying for them, keeping them covered through all that kind of stuff. Now for me, it's more so thinking about, how do I teach them how to make sure they pay it forward,
Okay.
right? 'Cause it's
Mhm.
not necessarily about material things. So that's really what changed for me in terms of how I define it, because it's more so about, how do you open the conversation up with mental health? How do you make sure that they are mentally prepared for all of the challenges life is going to throw at them? How can
Mhm.
I explain, as I'm going through challenges, I'm not going to hide from them my struggles. I want to be very
Mhm.
transparent with them, so they know that it's okay you struggle, may get emotional at times, but you still want to be a pillar of strength for them and be like, okay, this is a tough moment, but here's the positive outlook. Here's how we go over, what went wrong, and
Right.
just taking account of, especially for my boys, right, who are becoming young men. It's like we want you to be that leader, right?
Huh?
So you have to be that level-headed person, the one that's not going to fly off the handle at the moment of adversity, at a moment of struggle and trials, and think about, okay, how are we going to find a direction out of this and make it easier so that other people can follow that path and believe in the path. How are you going to have that persuasive communication and make people believe you know where you're going and they're going to want to follow you? Now everybody's not going to follow, because just some people are just obstinate like that. But it's like, yo, if I explain to you the most logical path from point A to point B, and you choose to go that way, as you see us going this way, and we're making
Right.
progress going this way,
That's
that's on you at that point.
right. That's
Or you
right.
didn't believe, all right, well, fine, let's cut this debt weight off. You go that way, we going this way. Goodbye.
Got
That
you.
simple.
So yeah, I love what you said. Legacy leg. That was that. I thought that was dope. But I think we should just end it on that. I think that's a great way to end it on.
That's what's up.
Just shout out your social media and your streaming site so people could go ahead and stream that music.
Oh, word, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. It's at QMOSHYN, QMOSHYN on all platforms. Shout out to Fresh Flow Entertainment / Fresh Flow Enterprises. That's Fresh Flow ENT. Also on all platforms, and really proud to continue to, speaking of legacy, to continue to wave that flag and have something that we can pass on. Again, the whole goal is faith reveals expanded social horizons for lifelong outreach. That's what Fresh Flow stands for, man. So
Okay.
you start with that essence of faith right there, and it's going to open up all the other opportunities. Is about the things that people may not be able to see, but you got that vision and you going for it.
All right. That's what's up. And
Yes.
that's what viral dope is about. We talking about people's legacy. We talking about, we empowering the artists. So thank you for coming to Viral Dope Podcast. Remember to check out 99.7 The Heat Miami. Remember to check us out, Radio Pushers on Music Hype Beats on Twitch. You
Yeah.
know, Jonathan drops some jewels, you know what I'm saying? 6 a.m. and 1
Marathon life.
o'clock,
Yep.
marathon life. So,
That's right.
right, we moving. So, either you jump on the bus or move out the way, right?
Or get rolled over by the bus.
I was trying to
That
be
just
cool.
always.
I was trying
Nah,
to be
nah,
nice about it.
nah. You said, hey, look, no, you told me we gonna talk heavy. That's what you said at the beginning of this.
Okay,
So
let's
let
talk
that's
heavy.
that's the kind of vibe I'm on right now. Like,
Okay. All right.
we
You
can
got
we can
you.
be nice, but we don't have to be. We still moving though.
That's it. That's it. All right.
Word up.
So you have a good night. It was good chatting with you.
Too. Thank you, Zoe. Zoe, appreciate you. Much love.
No problem. You have a good night. We'll
Clap it
talk
up for
again.
Zoe.